Vaše magnificence, spectabiles, profesores et doctores, fratres et sorores, kolegové a kolegyně, vážení přítomní. Zahajuji dnešní slavnostní zasedání Vědecké rady Univerzity Karlovy, na němž bude udělena čestná vědecká hodnost doktora honoris causa filozofických věd panu profesoru doktoru Rolandu Naulovi. Seien Sie willkommen, Herr Professor. Emeritnímu profesoru evropských studií v oblasti tělesné výchovy a sportu mládeže Institutu sportovních studií Univerzity v Münsteru ve Spolkové republice Německo. Scházíme se při příležitosti, kdy Univerzita Karlova, jedna z nejstarších vysokých škol v Evropě, věrna svým historickým tradicím, projevuje úctu a uznání těm, kteří se vynikajícím způsobem zasloužili o rozvoj vzdělanosti a poznání. Univerzita Karlova tak v souladu se svým humanitním posláním oceňuje úsilí nejpřednějších osobností z oblasti vědy, kultury a společenských vztahů. Dovolte mi, abych jménem univerzity přivítal mezi námi především naše milé a vzácné hosty, pana profesora Rolanda Naula a jeho manželku, paní Marii Naul. Srdečně vítám také členy správní rady Univerzity Karlovy a zástupce našeho veřejného a kulturního života, kteří se tohoto shromáždění zúčastňují. Vítám také pány rektory a další akademické funkcionáře českých i zahraničních vysokých škol, další zahraniční vědecké osobnosti, učitele, pracovníky a studenty naší školy a všechny další přítomné milé hosty, kteří přijali naše pozvání na toto shromáždění. Než udělím slovo paní děkance, dovolte mi jenom pár vět. Spojení duchovní a tělesné kultury má na Univerzitě Karlově velkou tradici. Připomeňme si jednu velkou osobnost této univerzity, kterou byl profesor Miroslav Tyrš, muž, který přednášel dějiny umění, ale patří také k zakladatelům jedné velké organizace, kterou byl Sokol. Miroslav Tyrš se zabýval antickým uměním, vycházel z myšlenek velkého německého historika profesora Winkelmana. Nyní žádám paní docentku MUDr. Evu Kohlíkovou, děkanku Fakulty tělesné výchovy a sportu, o projev k uvedení doktoranda, pana profesora, doktora filozofie Rolanda Naula.
Děkuji. Vaše magnificence, pane rektore, páni a paní prorektoři, prorektorky, spectabiles, děkani, proděkani, vážení hosté, dovolte mi, abych vám představila pana profesora filozofie Rolanda Naula, MA, který dlouhodobě spolupracuje s naší fakultou. Pan doktor Roland Naul více než 25 let působil jako profesor na univerzitě v Duisburgu-Essenu ve Spolkové republice Německo s vědeckým, odborným a pedagogickým zaměřením na společenské vědy, sportovní pedagogiku a olympijskou výchovu. V současné době jako senior profesor v oblasti evropských studií v tělesné výchově a sportu na Institutu sportovních a pohybových věd Univerzity v Münsteru v Německu. Profesor Naul je autorem 15 učebnic, více jak 350 revidovaných článků a odborných publikací v 10 různých jazycích, přičemž publikace jsou orientovány na tělesnou výchovu, olympijské vzdělání a se zdravím související sportovní aktivity mládeže. Naše fakulta i Česká olympijská akademie mnohokrát využily jeho dlouhodobých zkušeností jako pedagoga i jeho znalostí a zkušeností při řešení našich domácích i zahraničních výzkumných grantů, ve kterých se pan profesor Naul angažoval. Navzdory skutečnosti, že termín olympijská výchova se poprvé objevil ve sportovním vzdělání a olympijském výzkumu v roce 1970, pan profesor Naul byl mezi prvními badateli, kteří sledovali vzdělávací kořeny Pierre de Coubertina, jeho výchovné ideály v dějinách moderního olympijského hnutí v 19. i 20. a potažmu 21. století. Autorský úspěch je do značné míry ovlivněn jeho odbornými zkušenostmi a multijazykovými znalostmi. To umožnilo otevřít historické archivy, akademickou literaturu i sety nepublikovaných přednášek a osobních interview profesora Naula, zejména v Evropě, Severní Americe, Číně, Japonsku i v České republice. Silnou stránkou jeho publikací je svědomitě aplikovaný a interpretační rámec jeho prací. Věnoval se i propagaci olympijského vzdělání ve společném úsilí a ve spolupráci s Mezinárodním olympijským výborem, Mezinárodní olympijskou akademií, Národními olympijskými akademiemi či olympijskými studijními centry a univerzitami v Evropě a na celém světě. Upozornil na dvojí strategii aplikovanou Mezinárodním olympijským výborem a jeho podvýbory v šíření olympijských hodnot, které jsou jimi zvýrazněny a revidovány v důležitých detailech. Dalším originálním pohledem je analýza současných modelů a trendů v olympijské výchově a jejich transformace do národních kurikul ve školách. Výrazně hodnotí olympijské hry mládeže, které sdruží mladé sportovce pod hlavičkou olympismu a podporují další skupiny sportovců jako vzory pro děti a mládež po celém světě i jako další krok ke splnění mise olympijské výchovy. Společným znakem jeho publikací je, že olympijská výchova je v nich nazírána jako nepostradatelný nástroj moderního olympijského hnutí a jeho cíle za skutečné hodnoty pro navození vzdělávacích a sociálních změn. Badatelé a čtenáři mohou v jeho celoživotním díle identifikovat zejména globální pohled i nalezení odpovědí na aktuální otázky olympijského hnutí, jak už bylo řečeno, antického i současného, což ocení studenti a učitelé nejen tělesné výchovy, ale i trenéři mládežnických sportovních klubů i kandidáti na uspořádání budoucích olympijských her. Profesor Naul působí, jak jsem již uvedla, 25 let v různých evropských radách pro tělesnou výchovu a sportovní vědy. Podílel se na organizaci fondů a několika studií srovnávacího výzkumu, publikoval statě věnované pohybovým aktivitám zdraví dětí a mládeže na základních i středních školách, včetně soutěživého sportu mládeže a jeho vlivu na morální hodnoty a fair play ve sportu. Překračování kulturních a společenských hranic a různých oblastí a sociálního prostředí se v Evropě staly jedním z hlavních témat vědeckých a pedagogických aktivit ve výzkumu a ve výuce, které profesor doktor Naul inicioval, realizoval i úspěšně rozšiřoval. Nyní bych požádala pana rektora, profesora doktora Tomáše Zimu, doktora věd, o svolení k promoci pana profesora Rolanda Naula o udělení čestné vědecké hodnosti doktora honoris causa filozofických věd. Officio suavi functus magnificentia vestra retulii, quibus facultatis nostrae concilio est persuasissimum, ut vir clarissimus Rolandus Naul merito honoris causa philosophe disciplinarum doctor crearetur. Quam operem vos magnificentia vestra rogo, ut munus rectoris exequentes promotionis ritus incipi iubeatis.
Spectabilis domina decanissa animo libenti atque intento audivimus quae facultatis rei gymnice atque ludorum universitatis Karolinae concilium per te regulit rogans ut vir doctissimus Rolandus Naul in instituto ludorum universitatis monasteriensis studiorum rem gymnicam ac ludos juventatis in Europa ex colemcius professor emeritus te auctore nobis nunc ipsum commendatus civitate academica nostra astante atque probante honoris causa doktor filosofie crearetur. Gaudio magno affecti sumus quod professor doctissimus et attribus humanitatis pedagogiae agonalis educationi olympicae consulendo per orbem terrarum clarissimus hoc sumo honore est nobis impertiendus quipe qui in primus viri doctis educationis initia et disciplinae principia Petri de Coubertin motusque olympici in seculo undevicissimo et vicessimo historiam indagantibus habeatur ac per multos annos Europae collegiorum rei gymnice moderante ludisque docte excolendi sit socius. Iam nuc iam prescripta verba letus facio. Cun omnia quae lex et mos postulat ex solventatur et concilium universitatis Karolinae generale honorem hodie impertiemus confirmaverit precibus tui spectabilis domina decanissa libenter indulgeo rectorisque munere meno fungens ascensione. Itaque iam te honorabilis domine promotor rogo ut maiorem morem traditium atque universitatis consuetudines ad antiquore servant ceremoniis promotiones solemnes persequaris.
Concilium facultatis rei gymnice atque ludorum universitatis Karolinae non ignorans vir illustrissime te et doctrina tua quam in atrium humanitas pedagogiae agonalis educations olympicae. Questionaire perscrutadas impendisti et vi tuae operibus necom actibus quibus patriae tuae atque totius mundi cognitionem et scientiam generi humano maxime proficuam amplificavisti de salite universitae generis humani pre ceteris optime meritum esse. Communi omnium applausi de crevitis ut in doctorum philosophii honoris causa numerum recipereris quod ordinanis nostri consultatum cum et concilio generali universitatis Karolinae confirmatum esset te vir illustrissime petimus ut illum unum et sonum honorem quem tibi universitatis nostra impertire posset in hoc solemni consensu accipereris. Prius autem sponsio solemnis tibi suscipendia est. Spondebitis igitur. Primum te ius universitatis in qua huc sumum viri docti gradum honoris ascenderis piam perpetuum memoriam habitirum equi auctoritate auxilio concilis tuis numum de futurum. Dei studia utilissima sicut ad hoc facere semper consuevisti provere non desiturum ut veritas salitem generis humani continens propagetur et lux eus terrarum orben illustret. Hec tu ex animi tui sententia spondebis ec policetero?
respondeo ac policior.
Itaque aim nihil impedit, cuminis honores quibuste ordo noster honorate cupit tibi impertiamus. Ergo ego, promotorite constitutus, ex decreto concilii facultatis rei gymnicae atque ludorum te profesorem Rolandum Naul, virum doctissimus qui per multos annos Universitatis Karolinae fornam bonam urborbe terrarum divulgeveris disciplinas rei gymnicae atque ludorum exordium doctrinis in Universitate Carolina exercendis assidue consueris, philosophii doktorem honoris causa creatum renuncio. Omnia philosophe doctoris privilegia inte confero in esqui rei findem hoc diploma Universitatis Carolinae sigillo maiore insignitum tibi in mano strado. Decores etiam catena deurata qui vinculum tuum cum Universitate Carolina per omnes anno duraturum aperte ex symbolice significetum. Quod bonus Felix Faustum Fortunatum eveniat.
Sehr geehrter Professor, ich bitte Sie um Ihre Wort.
Vaša magnificence, spectabilis, honorabilis, vašení hostej. Rád bych poděkovat za vaše požadatelské pozvání do Prahy na tuto slavnost. Že to pro mě je velká čest. Děkuji také paní dekánce za laudatio a panu promotorovi za jež slova, která ocenila mou akademickou práci. Sorry for my Sputnik check. My relationship with the city of Prague and Charles University both have a personal biographic and a personal academic exchange dimension. I came to Prague for the first time just after my school graduation and before my enrollment as a university student. The date was September 1968. Just 3 weeks after the Russian occupation of the city of Prague and the lovely country of Czechoslovakia. The Russian occupation destroyed the political progress of the so-called Prague Spring, the human face of socialism launched by Alexander Dubček. As you all may know, the year of '68 was also a year of student peace demonstration around the world. Because of the Prague Spring, young Czech students from Prague traveled to my hometown in Germany. We met for the first time in April, listened to Josef, Antonin, and Vera tell their stories, and we became friends. I wanted to go to Prague to see with my own eyes what was going on there. And that city is so full of cultural history, and that we have been hearing about for years from our school teachers. Franz Kafka, gatekeeper, was an item of my oral Abitur examination. So I also wanted to see his home and neighborhood. The night of August 21st, 1968, changed all of our plans. My young Czech friends felt very angry and shocked up about the situation, as was I. There were many talks and exchanges of arguments about what would be better: to go back home to Prague, which some young people did, or to stay in Germany as refugees, which some others did as well. Those who did not want to return to Prague needed some more personal documents and certifications of their educational degrees. I decided to travel to Prague anyway, and I promised to contact their parents personally, to visit their homes, stay with them, and talk and take the transfer of requested personal belongings from Prague across the border back to Germany. However, this was not easy to do, and to enter the city of Prague 3 weeks after occupation was difficult. To get a visa, we traveled in our old VW, first to Frankfurt, to the Czech military mission at that time. Then to Linz, Austria, where there was a general consulate. No luck again. Then to Vienna, to the Czech embassy, where after many questions about our intentions and a 3 days later delay, we kindly received our visa. From Vienna, we traveled to Prague, crossing the border close to Znojmo in south of Moravia. I stopped counting Russian tanks after I got more than 20, then 50, then 70. Also, we were still far away from the city. Late at night, we entered the city close to the airport and stayed for the rest of the night in our VW. Early in the morning, there was a noisy wake-up call by 2 Russian soldiers with their Kalashnikovs. Davai, davai. They shouted at us and forced us to leave the area. Yes, we did, and tried to enter the city of Prague. Well, the first people we met in Prague were Russian soldiers, and the first Czech word we learned was ubička. I was a little bit surprised because all streets which we could enter seemed to have the same name, ubička. Ubička means in German Umleitung. But then we saw that all the original plates of street names on the walls of houses were painted black. Apparently so that no Russian occupant could find his way around or know the location in the city. Unfortunately, this also meant that no German student could identify the street where parents of his Czech friends lived. This was my first welcome to the city of Prague. Between 1969 and 1972, I traveled almost 3 times a year to Prague, visited many historical, cultural, and students' hotspots of the city, and was introduced to others for whom we did courier services for their relatives living in Germany and Switzerland as refugees. My first contact with the Faculty of Sport Science and Physical Education of Charles University is dated back in February 1972. I was then studying for many other kinds Magister Artium and traveled to the Sport University of Cologne for the 3rd FEPSAC European Conference of Sport Psychologists. I was privileged to hear Professor Miroslav Vanek's presentation on psychological items in game sports and got a chance to have a conversation. He generously and frankly answered our questions, which students may have, about psychological research in the game of volleyball, and then informed me about an ongoing doctoral study, a dissertation done by Dr. Slepička on psychological game analysis in volleyball, that he was supervising at his faculty in Prague. Many years later, when I visited Prague Faculty of Sports Science and Physical Education as a professor, I met him again. I was honored that he then obliged me to call him Mirko. My first working relationship with your faculty members at Prague is dated back to early October 1988, some months before the Velvet Revolution came down, and when my colleague Hans-Georg John urged me to join him to his Prague trip. I was invited by Professor Rištecki to present a paper on how sport pedagogy as a discipline may support and counsel elite athletes. The presentation was given at your old faculty facilities downtown at River Vltava, just beside the TIS Museum. I was also invited to join a group of faculty scientists who were investigated Prague school children in regular schools and special sports schools to compare their physical fitness and motor development profiles. In the 1980s, empirical studies in physical education with physical fitness test batteries were not common and almost unknown in West Germany. We recorded by videotape everything we saw in the schools and recorded the way that the test items were carried out by children and how measurements were taken by the Prague faculty team. The videotapes we took back to Essen, where I had worked since 1980. We trained our team of colleagues and students to apply the same test battery to children, same age group, in regular Essen school classes, according to the same procedure used by the Prague children and used the same types of measurements. The outcome was the first co-authored 3-year longitudinal comparative study on the motor and physical fitness profile of West German and Czech school children. These fresh results were reported as an international comparative PE and sport conference in Bishop Abbey, London, in 1990, published 1 year later, and that was the first co-authored publication with Antonin Rištecki and Roland Naul, the beginning of a long-lasting cooperation with the faculty and with prominent professors. It was followed by many articles in the following years. Indeed, there is no time to go into more details. But it was a beginning for long-lasting cooperation with your faculty and my university department that has now lasted 25 years and has also included researchers such as Bohumil Svoboda and later Václav Bunc. After the inaugural study between 19 1988 and 1990, we extended collaboration during international meetings and conferences here in Prague. For example, the European Conference in 1992 and the International Comparative PE and Sport Conference in 1994. In the mid-1990s, your faculty joined a European-wide study with more than 7,000 students aged 12 and 15 to investigate coherent development between physical fitness, active lifestyle behavior, and the assessment of moral principles as Olympic ideals. The first Czech sample was collected in 1996, later in 2006, and recently in 2016. For time-related cohort studies, Antonín Ryštecký collected 2 more waves of data involving boys and girls. The 1996 cohort study was sponsored by the IOC and the International Council of Sport Science, and also received an additional grant from the Czech Olympic Committee. For this study, across the EU countries, Antonín and I developed the so-called Olympic questionnaire to collect data on knowledge, teaching experiences, fair play behavior, and assessment of a range of Olympic ideals, which later lead to 4 so-called Olympic ideal factors of behavior patterns, elaborated by further statistical computer analysis and matched with ego and task motivation attitudes. This Olympic questionnaire, co-authored by Antonín and myself, was reapplicated in many other studies and in countries such as China, Singapore, the US, and South Africa. The Olympic questionnaire has been even more frequently applied in some European countries, particularly in Poland and Ukraine. A second big project, European project, that includes the Faculty of Sport Science and my colleagues from Prague as an important partner, emerged in 2003, when a European research consortium of scholars representing 12 EU member states was awarded a grant by the European Commission to conduct an EC-wide study on young people's physical activities and sedentary lifestyles. The big budget grant awarded to the German lead partner was fairly distributed and shared between all parties of the review studies across Europe. Antonín Ryštecký represented your Prague faculty with his Czech part of the study. Because of this project, important knowledge, which was almost unknown because of the Slavonic language border, has been brought to an international audience in Europe and the world. The final report of this study, stored at the European Commission Library, stimulated some follow-up activities after 2005. One, the first EU working group on sport and health, was established in Brussels. 2, a steering group of scholars was selected to develop the so-called European Physical Activity Guidelines. And 3, HEPA, Health Enhanced Physical Activity, was brought up again on the European Commission agenda after 2009. As a part of the so-called preparatory actions in the field of sport, another EU project was awarded in 2009 up to 2011 by the European Commission General Committee Education and Culture, and managed by us on behalf of ENGSO Youth and German Sport Youth, and with support of the Prague faculty. A strong Czech sample of secondary school children of the city of Prague, and in cooperation with ČSTV, 2 more schools in the town of Věchlavi were included. Finally, another big worldwide project under contemplation of many years came into life in 2012 and has been completed just this month. Titled Olympic Education and International Review, is a 20-country comparative review of national initiatives to promote Olympic education. For Europe, there are 9 EU partners representing countries like the Czech Republic, France, Germany, Greece, Poland, Russia, Spain, the UK, and Ukraine. 20 countries provided information based on a list of common criteria. Besides authoring the Czech National Country Report by Professor Rystecký, he is also co-author of 4 other comparative chapters in this book just released. Without his support of my friend Donda, here at the faculty in Prague, we never would have had access to sources and materials written by our Russian and Ukrainian Olympic scholars in the worldwide project. I will come to an end. Not all significant items of scientific exchange and collaboration have been mentioned here. For example, the many visits and lectures of different Prague ladies and gentlemen of your faculty to universities at Essen and Münster and the Gebhardt Research Institute. I do remember also the visit of my Essen student group to Prague with a warm reception in 1991. Good personal memories have been stored about the award of the silver medal of Charles University given to me in this aula in 2003, and the first Czech-German symposium on sports science organized here at Prague in 2005 with the Dean, Professor Bunz. I also have found memories of the event, including faculty staff members and German scholars who participated in a nice reception on the balcony of the German embassy, where an important chapter of German unification was written here in Prague in 1989. At this place here today, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all colleagues and friends of the Faculty of Sports Science and Physical Education, and significantly to the Rectorate of Charles University. You have enriched my personal and academic life over many years by common participation in conferences, symposia, and working group sections in different European-based research projects. Without your cooperation and commitment to common cross-border projects in the last 25 years, I would not have achieved what we finally achieved as a cross-border team of sports scientists in Europe. I am personally delighted to experience your long-lasting cooperation and your friendship in a variety of projects with the purpose to increase physical activity and health and to help to develop, via youth sport activities, moral principles of education for children in the true spirit of Olympism. Magnificence, Professor Zima, Spectabilis, and Honorabilis of Charles University of Prague, please accept my thanks for the many happy life experiences and for the many valuable academic experiences and past knowledge to me, which I have had here in Prague with colleagues and friends of Charles University. Definitely, my personal and academic life course would have become different without all these benefits. Thank you all for that in the past and for awarding me an honorary doctorate honoris causa today. Děkuji vám.
Velmi děkuji panu profesoru Rolandu Naulovi za projev, v němž vyjádřil vztah ke svým kolegům v České republice a pro mě také bylo překvapením, že psal práci o Kafkovi a propojuje ono antické kalos kagatai. Vážení přítomní, dovolte mi, abych jistě i vaším jménem vyslovil upřímné blahopřání panu profesoru doktoru filozofie Rolandu Naulovi k udělení čestné vědecké hodnosti doktora honoris causa filozofických věd. Děkuji vám za účast na dnešním slavnostním shromáždění akademických reprezentantů Univerzity Karlovy a zasedání končím pozdravem, kterým se zdravívalo na univerzitě, pozdravem, který je převzat z Ciceronova traktátu Quod bonum felix faustum fortunatum que sit.